we're going through difficulties. And just about the recording, this is solely for the purpose of our collaborative and just being able to kind of go back and check for notes and see what was said. We're not sharing these recordings out. So just so you know, if anyone has an issue with recording, let us know.
Thanks, Danny. And thanks for the reminder, Lauren. I'm going to put a note in there going forward. Okay, so we're all here because of CalAIM. And so CalAIM is a long-term commitment to transform and strengthen Medi-Cal, offering Californians a more equitable, coordinated, and person-centered approach to maximizing their health and life trajectory. The goals of CalAIM include implement a whole person care approach and address social drivers of health, improve quality outcomes, reduce health disparities, and drive delivery system transformation, create a consistent, efficient, and seamless Medi-Cal system. And so as part of Medi-Cal is this, in CalAIM is this CPI initiative, which we're all here. So PATH, CPI, collaborative planning implementation. And the purpose of this CPI is California received targeted funding per county and region for the providing access and transformation health, aka PATH initiative through the Department of Health Care Services, DHCS, to support whole person approaches to care on a statewide scale. The purpose of this project and this initiative and this collaborative and why we're all here today is to engage regional stakeholders to support collaborative planning efforts that support implementation of ECM and CS to create sustainable ecosystems for person-centered care. Intrepid Ascent is who we are with, me, Danny, Lauren, and Emily, was assigned to Contra Costa County, and our team will help to form and lead monthly collaborative planning groups to identify, discuss, and resolve implementation issues and identify how PATH and other CalAIM funding initiatives may be used to address gaps identified in MCP needs assessments and gap filling plans. So that's about CPI and why we're here. And in addition to our background on CPI, I'm going to give some more updates on CalAIM as well. The PATH TA Marketplace, which is another funding stream, is now live. It's a one-stop shop website where eligible organizations can access resources for ECM and CS implementation. And then cited funding awarded for round 1A. Capacity, infrastructure, transition, expansion, and development cited for round 1A. Round 1B anticipated to be awarded March 2023, so very soon. And then for PATH Justice Involved round 2 application reopens. The window closes on March 31st. And we have also, I know that funding was a topic of interest for everybody. And so our organization created a funding map that shows the different types of funding sources for CalAIM. I'm assuming everybody can see my screen.
Can you make it a little bigger?
I can try.
And we can share this out after with you all, just so you can kind of see it and review it, and feel free to ask questions as we go.
So this is where we are. It puts CalAIM in the goals in the center. And then it just has the different types of funding streams associated with CalAIM. And then here is us right here. And it just provides the different types of a description of what the services, the funding streams are for. And so I will be sending this out for you all to review and use at the end of today's session.
Brian, before you go on, just really quickly to kind of recap. So I know we talked a lot last time at the last collaborative around IPP funding, just to kind of break it down and make sure that everything is kind of tracking together. So IPP funding is coming down from the state flowing to the plans, and then the plans, the managed care plans, can flow that down to ECM and community support providers. So some of you I know have already received IPP funding, and that's really working through the plans. The PATH funding stream, which is the one on the bottom, we've talked a little bit around the PATH funding stream is where the funding for this particular collaborative comes into play. It's also where cited funding comes into play, which is funding for ECM and community support providers in counties and other eligible organizations. The TA marketplace that we just mentioned that went live the beginning of this month, end of last month, is also a part of the PATH funding stream. The marketplace is, as we said on the last slide, a one-stop shop for eligible participants. So ECM providers, community support providers, those that will be an ECM or community support provider and others to receive funding for technical assistance. So it's really funding specific to technical assistance on all things related to implementation. They have a number of different domains and categories. DHCS has pre-approved specific vendors to offer that technical assistance. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, I definitely recommend looking at the website and looking around at that marketplace. We can talk more about that at a later date, and we'll definitely send out links to that after this call. And then there's also the justice involved part of PATH as well that you see here. The areas in green, or the text in green on this diagram, are who receives the funding. So you know who the entities are that are eligible for the funding. And then the rest kind of shows the flow down of that funding. So that's just a bit of a description, and we'll send this out afterwards. I think I saw that there was a hand raised. Is there a question?
This is Tara from Anthem, and you said it very well. I was going to reinforce and encourage providers on this call to take advantage of that TA marketplace. So this is a really great way for providers who are thinking about cited funding, but they don't know either how to apply or how can that work for me, or I have this idea and I don't know where to go with it, or you know what, we really need this funding for this, but I'm not really sure how to apply, or how can I best utilize resources. The TA marketplace can help you. So I encourage everyone to go reach out and look at, after you send out the link, to go look around and go access that resource, and they can help you. They have, yeah, again, they have all these different vendors that can help you, that you can choose from, but it's a really great resource. And then you can access the cited funding really easily.
Yeah, thank you. And Tara, while you're off mute, there was a question in chat related to IPP funding that's available, not to put Anthem on the spot, but curious if you saw that question, if you have.
I didn't, but I can tell you, so the 2023 IPP funding from Anthem, I haven't, I guess, I haven't released the application yet. So I hope to do that by the end of Q3. So there's a DHCS deliverable that's due for IPP funding. So I need to get that hump out of the way, and then I can focus on the funding opportunities that Anthem has for this county after that.
Thank you. And I don't know if anyone from Contra Costa Health Plan is on and could speak to any rounds of IPP funding that might be available in 2023, but if not, we can definitely follow up with that as a question.
And I'll say too, from Anthem's perspective for IPP funding this year, we really want to focus on, gaps. And if there's any ECM or CS gaps in the county that we've had, it's going to be a very targeted approach. So, and I'll release all that information too. But yes, we do have funding opportunities available, but it's going to start in Q2.
And really quickly, just to kind of reinforce, I don't know, sorry, I'm just seeing, Vanna, your message. I don't know, I'm actually really curious about other meetings called the CPI meetings, because CPI is, these are the CPI meetings or the collaborative planning initiative, implementation initiative meetings for Contra Costa County. So I'm curious if there's other ones. I would love to learn a little bit more so we can just see how that aligns. And I'm not sure if there's other ones, obviously, if I'm not sure what they are, I'm not sure if it's just to talk about the marketplace, but sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, this is Tara again for Anthem. So for other counties, so if there is a provider who is also contracted in other counties, so other counties also have these PATH CPI meetings. So you may be hearing the same information in other counties if you're a multi-county provider. And in those other meetings that are also called PATH CPI meetings, you're probably going to hear also about the funding streams and promoting the TA marketplace and like the justice involved, funding opportunities and things like that.
Thank you, Tara, for that. And I was just going to say in that it goes along well with what I was going to say, that part of the role of these collaboratives, as Mariah said, is to really kind of think about and identify funding opportunities and to try to unify as a county. So we're all approaching implementation for a county in a way that makes sense for us as a county and kind of comprehensively. So for instance, my understanding, and this could be wrong, but my understanding for funding related marketplace is there's an allocation across the county. So each county has like a soft target of funds that have been allocated across each county. So it would make sense to think about collectively what are the needs for ECM and community support providers or providers who will be ECM and community support providers in the county, and how can you align around those needs and kind of think about what some of the TA projects might be. Similarly for IPP funds or cited justice involved funds, there's relationships among all of you as collaborative participants. So part of the conversation here will be, what are the needs? How do you align around the needs, both in workflow and implementing the work, as well as funding opportunities and approaching funding opportunities. Any final questions on this or the other CalAIM updates, or why we're here, who we are, any of what Mariah's covered?
No. Okay. Thanks for that breakdown, Danny. I did want to ask again, is anybody here from Contra Costa Health Plan that can provide insight on their IPP funding streams? I don't see Dennis. I don't think. Okay. Thank that. And so I'm gonna move on to the next part of is, so like Danny said, the purpose of being here is to figure out like how we can work together in order to just expand ECM and CS services and make sure that it's being expanded in a sustainable way. And so a very important part to me is understanding how you all can work together. And so we're going to do an activity that helps me understand who everybody is, and so that also everybody else can understand who each other is, and the types of services that you provide and the types of connections that you want and need to build in order to make sustainable CalAIM changes. But first, before we get to that, we're gonna do a quick icebreaker.
Right.
I'm not sharing the screen.
No, the funding opportunities is still up.
I see. I'm sorry.
I got Dennis in the lobby. If you can let him in.
I let him in.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I don't want to throw Dennis on the spot.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Hi. So thanks for joining. We have a question that might put you on the spot, but
That happens all the time. How can I be helpful?
I appreciate that. Anthem let us know what their guidelines and what their timeline is for their IPP funding. And so we also just wanted to know if you have any guidelines or timeframe for like what your IPP funding will look like.
Yeah, we do actually. So great question. My boss is in charge of that. So I know the funding is she's working on getting an announcement out. So I don't know all the details, but I'm happy to share it with this group once I get that information. So I know she's like, we're gonna get funding out. It's gonna be available for our community supports providers and our ECM providers. So, but I don't have the details. Like literally, she mentioned this to me last night. That it's sort of she's running with it. So like I said, once I have those details, I'd be happy to share it. I can ping her today to see if I can get those details.
Okay. That would be great. Thank you. And then if you could share them with me, and then I'll send them out to the group, if that works for everybody.
This is Tara. Can I mention one more thing? Sorry. About when you for IPP and PATH funding, when providers apply, you can't you can't we cannot duplicate funding, and you cannot duplicate funding. So just keep in the back of your mind that what you apply for in PATH funding, you cannot ask the MCO to supplement that as well. So when you're thinking about your needs as a whole, think about, okay, I want to do X. I am going to then, go to PATH and work this angle. And then I am going to go to the MCO maybe to work on CS or work on something else. It's like, you really think about your project as a whole, and then the different parts and pieces. So you're not overlapping those efforts. That's one of the key criteria is no overlap or no duplication of funding.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about what Tara just said? No. Okay. Thank you for that clarification as well. So we're gonna do a quick icebreaker. And so everybody knows it's February, so it's Black History Month. And this activity is framed around change. And so Black history is change that impacts generations. The work that we're here to do in this collaborative is to make change, is to impact lives, and hopefully that change will impact people for generations. And so I have a quick icebreaker that's just gonna give, I'm sorry, there's a question in the chat. Okay, so I have a question that I would hope that either Dennis or Tara could answer. It says that given that there are county targets for PATH-cited should providers that work in multiple counties keep focus their proposals on just one?
And Amy
responded, I see. Okay. Any other questions? Also, please feel free to interrupt me, come off mute. This again is for you all to ask questions. So if at any point in time you want to come off mute and just ask a question, please do.
For those that are thinking about PATH-cited, the initial announcement about the 98 that were awarded for 1A, it lists actually what counties were covered in there, and there are some that have covered a wide swath of California. So you can see who in that first 98 were awarded, what counties they were in, where there might be possible gaps. It did not look like multi-county agencies focused on one as opposed to broadly focusing on all their service areas.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Thank you for that clarification. for somebody else here. Okay, if you all could log into Poll Everywhere, Emily, would you mind putting that in the chat again? It's just a quick 3-question competition. And so there's like the faster that you respond to the question, the more points you get. And at the end, we'll see who's in third place. But it's a quick 3-question competition. Mm. It should be active for everybody now. Are we all able to log in? Can I get a thumbs up if you're able to like see it?
I don't see the questions yet. It says there's 3 questions, but I don't see the questions.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you all are in it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can see. Okay, and all right, ready? Once it does its thing. Okay. You have 30 seconds to answer. We're at 20 seconds.
Do we have to push anything to submit or just click on the answer?
You just have to click on it.
Okay.
So where was Black Wall Street located? Atlanta, Georgia, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Birmingham, Alabama, and it's closed. Let's see. Yay, 69% of you answered correctly. It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but Atlanta, Georgia, and Birmingham, Alabama were also and still are hubs for where a lot of Black individuals have created very successful communities. Okay. Who is winning? Amy, Beth, Krista, Danny, and Emily are in the top 5. Did I count 5? Okay. And so who was the first African-American to win a Grammy? Was it Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, or Sam Cooke? 20 seconds left. Ten seconds. 5. There's less of you to answer this time. Okay, there we go. 40% are correct. Stevie Wonder won the first Grammy, but Ray Charles and Sam Cooke are also prominent African-American male singers. Okay, Amy is still in the lead, and so is Beth coming in second. Chris is still holding on strong. That's the top 3. Okay, so the last question is, what did Valerie Thomas invent? And then this is Valerie Thomas. Did she create sanitary pads, the hairbrush, or 3D movies? And also the background, hopefully, in the picture gives a little hint. Maybe, I don't know. At least I thought it did. 10 seconds. Everybody got it? Well, most people got it right. 73% Valerie Thomas and created 3D movies. Yay. Okay, let's see who won. Amy held it down. Good job. Congrats. I don't have a prize other than, yay, you're so smart. Thank you all for participating in our game. And now we're gonna get back to some more serious business. If I can change the screen. Okay, so now I'm gonna have you answer some more questions, but this time it's focused on you all and understanding the types of connections that you want to make. I'm sorry, in this collaborative. I'm gonna give you can either answer and poll everywhere or in Qualtrics, whichever one works for you. The survey is now live and poll everywhere, and then I'm gonna put the link in to Qualtrics in the chat and give you like 5 minutes to answer. But again, the survey is mostly focused on just really understanding like who you are, and the types of connections and partnerships you want to make. And then just so you know what I plan on doing with the data, is this big old map. Once I know that some of you have kind of answered some of these questions before, specifically if you're ECM and CS provider. But once I get the data, I'm going to use all that I have from the different sources, and I'm going to create this map so that you can all see who is here and the types of connections that you can make. I know it's really small, but DHCS is at the top. This is Anthem, this is CCHP, and then this is ECM, this is CS, and then these are other CBOs. It only allows for one answer. And poll everywhere or Qualtrics. Amy, can you tell me which one is it in Qualtrics or poll everywhere? Poll everywhere. Okay.
So this is Kara, and it says on my URL link that I'm in Qualtrics, and it's only allowing me to choose one option.
Okay. So technical difficulties.
And I also can't seem to move from one question to the next one. Like it seems like it needs to be submitted, but I don't know if anyone else is having that issue. Like I can only click one for question 1. It doesn't move to question 2.
Brianna, you're in poll everywhere.
I'm on the poll one.
Okay, so we're gonna scrap a poll everywhere because I don't know how to fix that, to be quite honest. And then could everybody just answer in Qualtrics? It should let you select multiple in Qualtrics. I'm sorry about that. Technical difficulties.
And as you're answering, just to reiterate what Mariah just said, one of the things that we heard last time is that there's definitely an interest in understanding kind of the landscape and the map amongst ECM and CS providers within Contra Costa County. It's also part of the goal of this collaborative is to help strengthen those connections and create a kind of sustainable ecosystem for ECM and community supports and CalAIM implementation. And so in order to do that, we're really trying to get a better sense of what are those relationships current state and what do you want those relationships to be future state? Are there kind of formalized relationships that you're really hoping to make with either other providers or plans or other entities? Are there informal relationships that you're really hoping to build? I know that last time we kind of met some new folks and new organizations that are new to the county. I'm assuming those organizations, there's a lot of relationships that they're looking to build. So this is really helping us get a lay of the land as we're trying to get a better sense of where you all want to go, because this is really your collaborative. The other thing I'll say is that this is all stuff that we'll be sharing back out. So if you're interested in seeing this and understanding who are the other ECM providers or community support providers, this hopefully will help us create that map and that list.
And so while we're still here and people are answering the survey, thank you again for bearing with me with the technical difficulties. If you want to come off mute and then just like give a bit of like I want to say an explanation of like, just explain like who you would like to partner with, or why you would like to partner with them, just so that we can, or the types of services that you're looking for, just so that you all can get to know each other more. Or any areas of support that you would like.
I would love more post-hospital stabilization and recuperative care options. And I'm working with Lene and the H3 team and any shelters that are interested and anybody else on that. So if anyone has any ideas, please send them my way.
Thank you for that.
I guess everybody else has what they need. I'm glad to be the only needy one. I'm totally okay with that.
Lone wolf, that's okay. I'm sure somebody else needs something. Or
I mean,
wants.
we always need increased capacity. So increased shelter, staffing, housing. We live in the Bay Area where there's not enough housing, affordable housing. So, and ongoing support. So
I know that, I'm sorry, go ahead, Danny.
Just gonna ask Michael, what organization are you with?
I'm with Contra Costa County's Health, Housing, and Homeless Services Division.
Thank you.
I know that the housing question and just like physical capacity was a question that came up in the coffee chats earlier last week. And it's something that I did want to pose to the group. And brainstorming just ideas for any organizations that have found workarounds for capacity, building physical capacity. Is anybody here a housing provider that could provide some insight on maneuvering the system for physical housing capacity? I don't think so.
I mean, the way we've been able to do it, you know, in the past year or two is doing home key applications through the state. I mean, that's one method, and it sounds like there's another 700 something million coming down for home keys. So, but then using, you know, maybe the funds that we're receiving for like increased respite support and all the things that we're working to expand capacity on.
And also, this isn't the larger group. I think there's only like 20 something individuals here. There are like 70 individuals or that have signed up. And so the things that are talked about here, I can compile and put in the emails that I send out after the collaborative, and just questions like, hey, does anybody have any other solutions other than like what's been discussed at the end, and hopefully get some more responses too as well. Okay, so I think everybody is pretty much finished filling out the survey, right? Okay, so I'm gonna move on to the next part of today's session. So again, thank you for filling out the survey. So now I know you all heard me talk about QI. And so like Tara said, we have our own deliverables that we have to provide as the facilitator team. And so part of our deliverables are a set of different QI materials. And so I'm going to explain what QI is, just so you know I'm doing stuff. Okay, so like Jane said, QI is quality improvement, and so I'm going to define quality improvement. This is a Center for Disease Control and Prevention definition, It's a continuous and ongoing effort to achieve measurable improvements in the efficiency, effectiveness, performance, accountability, outcomes, and other indicators of quality in services or processes which achieve equity and improve the health of the community. It's a lot of words. It's a lot to say. So simply stated, QI is continuous reevaluation of work that is guided by specific goals to achieve better outcomes. And so part of QI and our deliverables are 4 things. It's an aim statement, a driver diagram, a change pack, and a change ideas, which is within the driver diagram, and a change packet. You don't need to remember that part. But for the aim statement, and there's an activity associated with this, the aim statement is generally the goal. Like, why are we all here? Why are we attending these meetings every month? Like, what are we supposed to be getting out of this? And at the end of this year, what will our collaborative have achieved? There's 4 parts to this statement. There's the who will do it. It's going to be this collaborative no matter what. By when? It's going to be by December 31st, 2023, because that is when the end of this collaborative funding is, at least at this point in time. The feedback that I need from you all is what will be changed and by how much. So the aim statement, the what will be changed is the thing that we're working towards, the goal, the outcome part of the statement. And then the how much part is the measure. And so depending on what will be changed, will change by how much or the things that is measured. I know I just said a lot of things, but I have another poll, and this one should work because you only have to choose one option. We need to pick, what do we want to focus on? Do we want to focus on reaching more beneficiaries, or do we want to focus on increasing and improving the quality of partnerships? So this right here is the only thing that I want us to focus on right now. And so,
Hey, Mariah,
and-
can I ask a question really quick before you launch that poll?
yep.
So that's, I feel like it's a little bit hard to answer that question because I'm not sure that I can appreciate how much work is being done in Contra Costa now, like how many community supports providers there are and how many ECM providers there are between the 2 care plans. And so I don't know if, has that information been collected? Is that available somewhere between both the Contra Costa Health Plan and Anthem that is visible to this group?
I'm going to ask the 2 health plans.
Right, that's a good point. Like reaching more beneficiaries. So I can see that being, okay, do we want to educate about CalAIM, maybe like about, ECM and CS, reaching more beneficiaries? That would be, I think that would widen the scope of that reaching more beneficiaries versus, Anthem or the local health plan doing that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's a collaborative community effort to educate about the support that DHCS can provide.
Okay. This is great. It doesn't have to be these 2 options. It can be anything else. This is just what we have brainstormed so far.
Kara, do you have a place on Anthem's website where you've listed who you've contracted with to provide these services? Is there a way that, okay, and is that something that you could put in this chat so that people could see it? Or, and would it also include what community supports Anthem's approved? Because I don't know if you've done all 14.
Yes. Okay, so let me put it this way. It's there right now. It's not the most user-friendly. So, but we are updating it to make it more user-friendly. And I just heard this morning that it should be up there within the next 2 weeks. With that said, so what do you want? I would love to send it to you when it's easier to read. I don't want to waste your, it's up to you. I'm happy to send you what you can look now, or if you wait 2 weeks, it'll be really easy in a wonderful like provider directory style type of view.
I mean, provider directory style is awesome. Dennis, do y'all have something similar to that the group could see?
Our provider directory is up to date.
It's up to date. Okay, so yeah.
And
I mean,
we
I
also have a list of community supports we'll post on our website under a section that's nicely titled CalAIM. So if you go there, you can see all the community supports and the criteria.
Perfect. So I think maybe being able to compare between the two, I think might then show like where is maybe there's not enough asthma remediation, or maybe there's not enough. I mean, Dennis has already said housing, but housing is a Bay Area wide issue. But I wonder if that maybe having that information might help form the AIM statement.
I love that idea. I can, nope, I'm not gonna talk. I'm gonna let you all talk for a second or sit in silence before I toss in my ideas.
Any response there, Amy? I think that is a really great idea. And I think how do you measure this is the next question to the AIM statement, which is where we're getting as well. Any other thoughts either to what was just shared or other things people want to throw out there or respond to based on these ideas that are listed here?
I mean, I think in my mind, I would define reaching more beneficiaries differently. I feel like with the help of Health Services Division, we've been doing a good job identifying people. I would sort of put the challenge on actual engagement and percentage of successful enrollment, not necessarily on identification. So if that's going to be the AIM statement, that's where I would add a modification. And I'm sure Lene has some thoughts on that, given we know this is a very high risk population that is challenging at baseline. That's why they're probably eligible. So I think that's sort of where I see the gap.
Yeah, so percentage of eligible beneficiaries enrolled or something.
Approved, yeah, authorized beneficiary enrolled, I think would be I think something where we can always do better, and would love sort of the wisdom of the group on how we can better engage those very challenging to reach or challenging to engage beneficiaries.
Brianna asks, do you have an ECM list? I'm assuming that's to both of the health plans.
Yeah, as I said, our ECM list is available via provider directory.
Okay. I will try my best to go through both anthems when it's ready in CPHP and try to find a list for Contra Costa. It'll also be in that larger map as well, so that it's more in like one place for the people that are currently here. Also, one thing that I did kind of hear that could potentially be instead of beneficiaries or relationships is the number of like services that are filled in the gaps. I know that both plans had gap filling plans, and so the number or their ability to like fill those gaps could also be what we can focus on changing.
Mariah, was it this county, Anthem sent in a list of our community support and ECM contracted providers? Did you guys ask us for that?
No, I think it was Danny, wasn't that just like a general list that PCG asked for? I know we had like a list from a long time ago of like each health plan across the state and the CS services that they were providing. I know that was just like a general list, but I don't think the one that we specifically talking about was just asked by for everybody across the state, right, Danny?
Yeah, we received a list from the state on ECM and community support providers and noticed some immediate gaps in that list based on what we know is true. So I don't think we've received anything directly from you, Tara.
Okay, so we will send, and then feel free to distribute out to this group. We're happy to send in our contracted provider list.
Wonderful, thank you. And we will figure out how to map that into the map that you all just helped us create. If there's a way to merge the two, if we keep them distinct or both, I'm assuming it would, if we merge it, we'll keep it distinct as well. We'll kind of include all of that in the materials we push back out to you all.
Yeah. Any other ideas for the aim statement? No. Okay, so I will take what was said here and try to brainstorm some more ideas. Like Dennis, is yours is like the actual engagement and enrollment of eligible individuals instead of
I have other goals. I mean, since you said we're not limited to this, right? So I think you have my increasing engagement and actual conversion after authorization, right? That's a very technical one, but I think one where there's some learning, right? I think closed loop referrals between all the partners, including for CalAIM, but not limited, right? For community support to all members. So I think that's a big goal in terms of thinking through that, understanding real-time capacity and limitations and being able to communicate seamlessly would be a very important goal in achieving, and I think closed loop referrals would help with that. Obviously, you have my housing capacity and sort of shorter term respite and shelter capacity issues, right? And then on top of that, I think other things that we would love to see would include sort of really partnership, because I think ECM, as Lene knows, the expectation is to quarterback and to basically review and understand all of the patient's issues. That doesn't mean they necessarily are best equipped to address all those issues, but really making sure there's close connections with different resources so that issues are being addressed. And if there's a lapse, that's where the ECM team steps in, right? Whether that be with their primary care provider, with a behavioral health provider, with a housing provider, with a food provider, whatever provider, right? So I think really sort of supporting that model and helping sort of closer collaboration between ECM providers and community partners, not sort of in addition to the first step of identifying them, sort of giving patients handouts and then following up with patients to see if they made it, really a closer closed loop and sort of collaborative effort. So I think those are some other things I would love to see, but I'm sure others may have some thoughts.
Thank you for your beautiful list.
I have something to add to that. It's also like the seamless communication happens with kind of like a shared data type network. And it also allows, like, for instance, using the CC Link portal, right? Having a way to map what is happening with a referral and make it easy administratively. So like really making like a seamless, easy data system to be able to communicate with would be nice. I don't know if that...
I agree. I think that makes sense because I think having one system where everybody either is compatible with or uses the same system, right? I think on the county side, there is a significant synergy from having a shared system and sort of supporting plugins to that, or enhancing the provider portal functionality to allow for that would be sort of huge.
Yep.
So I think I agree with you absolutely, Michael. I think it's really a good way to, implement that and really make it a reality.
Thank you. I just also want to add, I do plan on having like a data sharing, data standards, like specific meetings so that we can talk about more of those like data things and technology and software that would make communication and collaboration easier. So that is coming up. So as part of my commitment to ending on time, we'll get to all of that in the next session. You can always request one-on-ones with me. I'll send out the link that you can use to schedule one-on-ones, but we do have our third session, March 22nd at 9 a.m. If the early morning times do not work, please let me know. And then I can also change them to afternoon times too. And then in that session, we will finalize our aim statement and work on a driver diagram. And then the next coffee chat will be March 15th, 1 p.m. I'll probably focus on brainstorming aim statements in that session as well. And so it'd be really nice if you can all join. And so give me some feedback on that. And then I sent out an outreach toolkit. And so we would like more people to join our collaborative. And so if you wouldn't mind just sharing out information about this collaborative, using those resources. And that's it. We're at 1 o'clock. And thank you all for joining.
Thanks all.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Can't end it.